What's up, guys? Nick Whalen, Alex Barutha here from RotoWire. We're talking waiver wire for the week ahead. Players who should be rostered. We have enough of a sample at this point to start drawing some conclusions. Most teams have 8 or 9 games under their belt. So, Alex, we've both put together our list of targets. We'll try to keep them relatively low owned, guys who should be available in the majority of leagues. Some of these will be more 12-team focused. Some might be a little bit more deeper league focused. But I'll let you lead it off, Alex. Where do you want to start?
I think we got to talk about Bennedict Mathurin. For the Indiana Pacers, who Aaron Nesmith, the starting small forward for Indiana, is in a walking boot right now. Bennedict Mathurin has come in and played really well. He's coming off a 20-point, 11-rebound performance, but it's really just been the past 4 games for Mathurin. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists across the past 4 games. He's shooting maybe a little bit above his head at 50%, and he had kind of a disappointing year last year. Was it, I think, in Carlisle's doghouse a little bit. But someone who's an extremely talented scorer, and he's got the opportunity right now.
Yeah, I like that call a lot. Surprised how little rostered he is. 24% rostered right now in ESPN leagues. I want to start by just looking at a team, Alex, the Philadelphia 76ers. And, they got reinforcements in the way of Paul George this week. They are supposed to get Joel Embiid back once his suspension is up. We were told he will make his debut next Tuesday. But they also have another injury to keep an eye on. Tyrese Maxey left that game last night against the Clippers with a hamstring. He's going to miss, it sounds like, at least a couple of weeks. Where do we go from here? Kelly Oubre would be the first guy that I would mention. He's 38% rostered right now in ESPN League, so he's probably snapped up in deeper formats. But if you are in a 10 or a 12, he could be out there. 3 games in the week ahead for the Sixers. Something to keep in mind if you're in a weekly lineups league. But outside of Kelly Oubre, do you have any interest in Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon, Jared McCain? Who picks up the slack here with no Tyrese Maxey?
I think this is going to be a really tough fill for the 76ers who just got Paul George back, and he might take on some more usage. Kyle Lowry has been fine. It just feels crazy wanting to roster Kyle Lowry in 2024. But I think you were right to point out Kelly Oubre, who just loves to shoot the basketball, loves to touch the basketball. So I think we really could see more of him. Guys like Jared McCain, I feel like they'll have their games. Eric Gordon maybe gets hot one game, but I feel like Oubre could end up coming out of this thing the steadiest.
Yeah, Oubre, to me, if he's out there, I think he's easily number 1. I would probably go Caleb Martin after him, then McCain, then Gordon. I mean, those two, like you said, you're just kind of hoping for the one hot game where they hit 4 or 5 threes. Something to keep in mind, by the way, with the Sixers, it is a 3-game week, but they start with a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday. So obviously, if Embiid plays Tuesday, not going to be out there on Wednesday. Possible, if not likely, that Paul George, could rest on one half of that as well. So something to keep an eye on, particularly in weekly lineup leagues. I'm also looking at Payton Pritchard, Alex. I mean, it's kind of old news at this point. 3-game week coming up for Boston. He is only 37% rostered in ESPN leagues. Over his last 8 games, Payton Pritchard averaging 18 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, over 1 steal per game, hitting 4.3 threes per game. He's taken almost 10 attempts per game. Obviously, Jaylen Brown has missed a couple of games, and that's given him a boost. But in terms of the minutes, not much has changed. Payton Pritchard has been one of the best 6 men in the NBA so far. So even with Jaylen Brown presumably back in the mix in the near future, I don't really think that changes my opinion of Pritchard.
No, Pritchard is 5th on the Celtics in total minutes, or minutes per game, I should say, right now. And like you said, he's just firing away from 3, taking some of Drew Holiday's usage, I would say. And we haven't had too many encouraging updates from Jaylen Brown. So I think, grab Pritchard while he's hot and while Brown's out.
Okay, who else you got on your list?
I'm still kind of surprised. Jose Alvarado is only 30% rostered in Yahoo. I understand there's some hesitation because people just view Alvarado as, this like kind of a meme of a he waits behind the guy inbounding the ball and steals it out of people's hands. But they need Alvarado to just take touches for this team. And he's not a great shooter, not a great offensive player in general, but over the past 5 games, all starts, 16 points on 43% shooting, 5.8 assists and 1.4 steals. That's just someone who has to be rostered. And the reality is DeJounte Murray's out for a while still. He might not come back until December. And we don't have any great updates on CJ McCollum, who was announced when he initially got hurt as out for at least 2 weeks. So you probably still have at least another week or two of Alvarado to take advantage of.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, he's averaging 33 minutes per game since McCollum went down. And, that was 2 to 3 weeks for a reevaluation for CJ McCollum. So it could be even longer. Either way, I think for the week ahead, you should be safe with Alvarado. He's hit 10 threes over the last 2 games, 3.4 makes per game over his last 5. Still gives you, 5 or 6 assists per night. He'll give you a steal and a half. 13% rostered right now in ESPN. So make sure you pick up Jose Alvarado. Bub Carrington, Alex, you knew I was going to talk about him. I think I've talked about him in every video that we've done this season. 9% rostered in ESPN leagues. He has 4 games this week. He's starting every night, it feels like, for the Washington Wizards. He's playing 30-plus minutes. He gives you a pretty well-rounded stat profile. We'll see on the steals. Those have come and gone. He'll have 3 steals one night, then he'll go 2 games without any, but should settle as about a 1.0 steals per game guy. He gives you points, he gives you rebounds, he gives you assists. He's not a good 3-point shooter. So you're really chasing the true counting stats there, but much like the steals, tends to run hot and cold as a shooter. I'm grabbing Bub Carrington on a 4-game week.
You and I are in a 20-team auction league, and I spent a third of my fab budget to grab Bub Carrington, who is somehow still available. A weird waiver setting. Regardless, you're totally right about Bub. A usage guy, has shown an ability to pass. He came into the league as someone who was like, is this guy just going to come in and shoot mid-rangers and not really pass the ball too much? He has been. And the Wizards, there's actually a lot of fantasy value on the Wizards. A lot of guys who I think are completely under roster, partially because they're totally anonymous. Like I could move on to my guy, because one of my guys is Alex Sarr, who's still under 50% rostered in Yahoo leagues. I understand Sarr has not been shooting well from the field. It continues to be a problem, but he is blocking 2.8 shots per game in 25 minutes. If he starts getting more comfortable on offense, if he starts playing closer to 32, 34 minutes a game, this is someone who is on track to block 3 shots a game and maybe average 10 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, that's a great call. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but there is fantasy value to be had for this Wizards team. I'm still shocked that Sarr is that low rostered. I'll run through a couple more here, Alex. Davion Mitchell, somebody to keep an eye on, certainly in deeper leagues, 7% rostered right now. It is a 3-game week for Toronto, so keep that in mind. But we have no idea when Emmanuel Quickley is coming back. He's missed now 8 games in a row with that dreaded pelvis injury. Once Quickley is back, I don't think Davion Mitchell is necessarily viable, but we have no idea when Emmanuel Quickley will be back in the lineup. Last 6 games for Davion Mitchell, he's given you 12 points, 7 assists, 1.2 steals, always been a good defender, and 1.5 threes. I think you have to look at Goga Bitadze right now in Orlando. We're still trying to get a handle on, okay, what does this rotation look like post Paolo Banchero? But Goga Bitadze started the last 2 games. He had a double-double on Wednesday against Indiana, gave you 3 blocks in that game as well. I would certainly prioritize him over Mo Wagner, over Tristan da Silva.
I grabbed a lot of Mo Wagner in my fantasy leagues because I thought, Wagner can play the 4 a little bit with Banchero out. Wagner just hasn't really delivered the way I hope. I still think he can. But you're completely right about Bitadze, especially because he showed it last year when he was able to get the run. So I think we have enough sample to where it's more than the 2-game sample just from this year. We have last year to use as well.
All right, I got a few more, Alex, but I'm curious who's left on your list.
I mean, there are some familiar names on here, like, grab Russell Westbrook as long as Jamal Murray's out. I think Malik Monk might maybe still a little under rostered. It depends on your format. Scotty Pippen Jr. is only 42% rostered in Yahoo. The Grizzlies, I could focus on him because the Grizzlies are just completely decimated by injuries. Desmond Bane, like Vince Williams, those guys are just still out. Marcus Smart and Scotty Pippen Jr. His passing was a little hotter earlier in the year, but he still had 13 assists 3 games ago. He's just a really high IQ player. They play him 25 plus minutes every single game. For the whole year, he's averaging 12 points, 6 assists, and a steal in 26 minutes. So just someone who should be on rosters, especially because assists are not that easy to find.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I'll empty the clip here with a few more names. These are more for deeper leagues, but Isaiah Stewart is somebody who's caught my attention. 3% rostered right now. It is a 4-game week coming up for Detroit. He's averaging 7 rebounds, 1.3 blocks on the season. Those are the categories that you're really chasing if you're picking up Isaiah Stewart. And keep in mind, Jalen Duren is dealing with an ankle injury, left Wednesday night's game. So there's a chance that he could miss some time. That would open things up for Isaiah Stewart. But again, just really a blocks and rebounds play if you need help in those categories. Peyton Watson, he's 3% rostered. I think that number is going to shoot up, although it is only a 2-game week for Denver. But I still want Peyton Watson. Aaron Gordon is going to miss time beyond the week ahead. We saw Peyton Watson get the start on Wednesday against OKC, played 34 minutes in that game. I think he's going to be locked into 28 to 37 minutes for the foreseeable future with Aaron Gordon out. He gives you shot blocking. He gives you steals. He should give you some points as well. But you're really after the defensive categories with Peyton Watson. And then if you just need somebody, streaming in on a 4-game week on the wing, Dorian Finney-Smith. I think we all pick him up and drop him like 3 times per season. He's got at least 1 steal in every game this year. He rebounds. He'll give you a few threes every now and then. Again, on a 4-game week for Brooklyn, if you're dealing with some injury issues or you got a bunch of guys on a 2 or a 3-game week, I don't mind streaming him in.
Yeah, Finney-Smith, I have him on way too many leagues. The Nets happen to play a lot of games on low volume days where I'm in daily leagues, and I'm like, I can't drop Dorian Finney-Smith. It's crazy. But every name you said there makes total sense.
Yeah, just to give you kind of a zoom out view of the week ahead, 16 teams play 4 games, 12 teams play 3 games, and the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors only have 2 games on their schedule. So something to keep in mind there in weekly lineup leagues. Alex, great stuff, man. We'll be doing this every week throughout the season, so make sure you check us out on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball YouTube channel. We'll be giving you waiver wire suggestions all through the rest of the year. We'll have a ton of video content coming there. You can find all of our live podcasts as well on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button while you're here. Give the video a like if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and let us know in the comments. Who do we miss? Who are you picking up this week? Always want to hear from you.